This is session 95. Who would like to give a recap of the last session? Once again, our normal recapper is Dustin.
I remember we started last session having just finished looking around in the larder. And we were considering trying to talk to the vampire assassin or Warner. Don't know if they were trying to kill us or if they were associated, but we talked about that, and then we left, and then that's kind of where my brain shuts off.
Right. You went to the Delvers Guild to find a cartographer.
That's right. We went to find the cartographer, and he was able to help clarify where we might need to go, because the King's Steps are apparently based on the limp or the strange walk of a particular historical king. And so we would have been off by several degrees. And then, so I remember Clave went and conjured up some fake money, thinking that he was going to be done by the time he came back, but then wasn't, because he said it was going to take 30 minutes or something. And then it just was like a few marks on the paper and he was done.
He was literally afraid that if he just put the 2 marks on the paper and then you had to fish out the gold, that you would just snatch the map and run. And there would have been nothing he could do. So that's why he made you go get the gold first.
Yeah, that's fair. And then
do we seem so untrustworthy?
I mean, he is just a cartographer, not like an adventurer. You chose to take the map. There is nothing he could do. So, I mean, in any event, you left him with a pile of fake gold. So, were you that trustworthy? Seems to me he was probably correct.
So, but then in the meantime, we were also talking to one of the adventurers who is a member of the guild but retired, and we learned some things from him in terms of like the conflicts between the giants and the dragonborn and the demons, and we learned about the minotaur or ox-headed demon, and corrupted Salasri that seemed that this demon had been wielding. And then Zarius got curious, decided to see if his patron was okay. Turns out she's a Draco Lich. At least that's our best guess of what she is. She seems to be still in a state of decay, potentially. So all of her flesh hasn't sloughed away, but she's also on a bed of all types of corpses and undead creatures. So there's that.
Yeah, it's just a bed of corpses, mostly giant corpses.
Yeah. I also really appreciate the video that you included in that is comparing our reaction to Zuko's. I feel like that was very appropriate.
That was right after he said, my girlfriend turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy.
Khepri wasn't happy with the news, didn't believe it, left, and so we don't know where Khepri is right now or if they intend to return. So we're still kind of talking about what our next steps are in terms of what we're going to do until the battle that is expected, which we're not even sure if it's actually going to happen, but that's what we're thinking. They're heading there in either way. And then also what we're going to offer the Southern Sage when we get there, and then kind of like what our end goal is, since now Zarius's patron being changed has kind of changed the calculus of how we might proceed, since that was Zarius was banking on the patron being able to have some kind of influence over the whole thing about Zarius being the rightful ruler, and if the clans would accept somebody else. And I think there was also mention of Zarius with the artifact or the crown or something that's representative of the rulership. I don't remember. There was a object tied to that.
There is a crown,
Crown of the Sultan or whatever.
right, that currently King Shalk supposedly has.
Yeah, that's right. Because Zarius doesn't want to be ruler, my understanding.
I'm too old for that.
So that's most of what I recall from the session.
So a couple other things. The cartographer did say that when dealing with the gates of Sul or similar things, that the path is probably ritualized, which is why it's laid out the way it is. And so you probably should attempt to follow it as closely as you can. And that's why it probably has two different directions you're supposed to go, and not just from the gates of Sul, go directly to the one place. Bashran, the retired adventurer, did say that he had heard a lot of reports about the giants using possibly as shock troops, but he didn't know, like medium-sized gray-skinned humanoids. And that at least around the gates of Sul, that's probably the dividing line between where the giants have control and the demons have control. He also reiterated that the demons appear to be scouring the southern desert looking for something, although he didn't really know what.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember I don't remember who, but I remember there were several people who were going to get messages. So much so that Zarius might not have enough spell slots.
So there was a message to the vampire, a message to Khepri, a message to Lucia Rossi, looking in on Turbo, and those are the ones I can recall.
Let's see. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There was talk about like building an underground bunker to sleep in.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're worried about the assassin. So here's to hoping there's no underground infrastructure.
Just cutting through gas mains.
I'm thinking more about like if there's like underground stores of food that now all of a sudden they can't access.
I mean, that might be more likely if you made it just in the first couple feet, you might be cutting into some people's basements. But you're
Yeah.
still standing in the street near the Delvers Guild at this point. It's pretty early in the day. It's probably about noon. So the heat is starting to rise outside again. What do you want to do?
So telepathically, Clave would kind of ask everybody, all right, so what's the next steps? Do we want to find a place to create our new stronghold, or is there anything else that we needed to do today?
Is there something we should be doing that we need to stay here for?
Well, if we're going to proceed straight to the gates of Seoul and we need an offering, we need to consider Turbo, since she's rumored to be here. Other than that, I can't think of anything else that we might need here. We've gotten a good amount of information to know what we're getting into beyond the walls. So I think it's just about getting provisions and ensuring that we have something that could be acceptable to the Southern Sage.
Mm,
Um, Additionally, point of clarification, Kurt.
Mhm.
We got that room at the really nice inn. Is that for tonight, or is that
That's right, I forgot
Okay.
about that. The place that smells of lavender
yes?
because of those ridiculous rolls. Yes, that is still for tonight.
Okay, good, because I can't cast it again because I'm seeing now that I had already cast it.
Well, I mean, are we within the radius of your spell?
Yeah. So technically, as long as we're within the range, I could change it. In my head, though, with like the way that works, I feel like it's kind of, if I set an area, it's kind of,
Set to that area. That's fine.
yeah. In my head, I don't think that the malleable illusion is like completely, without parameters. At least that's my interpretation.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, I probably forgot. You may have ended in that inn rather than still on the street, and I was just misremembering that because I think it was after all
That's
of
right.
this happened. You
We
went
did go
and
there,
found the
yeah.
inn.
Okay, so we still have the inn for tonight then, because I would have had to cast that this morning or sometime in the day for that spell slot to be gone, because there's
Right.
nothing else I would have cast with that level of a spell slot.
So, and they've brought in a variety of foods. Keyhole is bathing because he can.
Yeah. So that explains where T-hole is this session. Taking advantage of the amenities while he has them.
Any chance to get naked?
Berating the guy who thought he was a poor.
Which, to be fair, he totally is.
So I guess like, what is the group's priority? Like, are you trying to get to the gates of Seoul or to find Turbo or to find Khepri,
Yeah, I guess that's a question, like, how concerned is Zarius about Kepri's leaving? Like, do you feel like the way that she left, that this is something serious that needs to be addressed? She might not come back, or she seemed really upset.
She's very likely to attempt to return. But she moves far faster than I could potentially catch her. I wouldn't know where she would be.
All right, because
Once
played-
we begin to move in our cloud form, we might catch her.
well, ideally before we get into cloud form, though, so that she can also be in cloud form.
She's likely gone beyond the city by now.
Why do you say that?
If she seeks up to see the patron is not here.
So she's actually physically going to your patron?
She used to attend to her.
Well, Kepri's gonna die. You're not worried about that, Zarius?
If I could do anything about it, I would. I hope to message her in the morning, but potentially convince her to return. For now, I can do nothing. I am helpless in this situation.
look, I think priority number one is contacting Lucia Rossi to let him know his failure is now complete.
Second message will be to Lucia Rossi.
All right, so perhaps we should just return to the inn and rest before gathering more information tomorrow through spell use.
Yes, with some incense, I could potentially gain even more information. I do not know if it will be useful, but I do have powerful magics that grant knowledge on legendary people or items.
Perfect. What do you need? I mean, there's markets. We should probably go soon if there's something specific you need to procure, because the markets are likely to stop soon with the rising heat.
All I would need was many incense. I have the ivory strips.
What kind of incense?
Stuff, ones that you burn.
Generic incense? Potpourri? You need potpourri?
250 gold pieces worth.
Jesus.
Yeah, I need a lot.
I'm gonna need to make some more gold, aren't I?
Suddenly it's inconvenient that T-hole's locked in the bathroom.
Well, thankfully I can make gold one more time before tomorrow. So let's go to the market and find where we can get your incense. And out of character, hopefully it's not like 250 bales worth of incense.
This is where all the shortages work in your favor.
Oh, yes.
Drives up the volume.
All right, so if we start towards the market and looking for incense, do we find anything easily, or do we need to like ask around?
You would be able to find it pretty easily, especially since you're not looking for anything in particular. I mean, you do notice there was a lot more in the way of just perfume and incense in I'm blanking on the name. In various other cities you've been in. But this one, people aren't really burning incense or wearing perfume nearly as much. Still, it's there for its ritual uses, and it's easy enough to buy blocks of incense.
The more we buy, the more I can use the spell.
Okay. Well,
It is 5th level, by the way.
um,
Another thing to keep in mind.
I mean, I can make a volume of gold equivalent to a 5-foot cube. So
Just make sure
it's
we
a
don't
lot of
look.
gold.
We don't look anything like we will ever look again.
Oh, I can make sure of that.
Like suddenly, like there's a like a fucking guards are searching for people buying stuff with fake money. It's like the gold seems legitimate, but after an hour, it just goes away.
Yeah. That won't be a problem. We're already in disguise. It's just a matter of changing it up. So
These motherfuckers are gonna demand. Nah, I need you to wait here for an hour to make sure this money doesn't go away.
man, I really hope that they don't.
Got to take every precaution now, fucking days.
Because yeah, precious metals last 1 hour, gems last 10 minutes. So
Need that extended spell. Make it last 2 hours.
well, if I were a sorcerer, that might be possible.
Isn't there a new feat now?
Yeah, there's a feat where you can get mentor magic. I'd actually considered it last time, regretted not taking it.
Yeah.
But not to get extend spell.
No.
Yeah, right.
Because you can only take it once.
But imagine. Oh wait, no, it wouldn't do anything for your 10-day spell because it's a maximum of 24 hours, I think. So
Yeah.
So I have somehow used a lot of spell slots today. So if I were to make gold and we needed to get out of a jam by convincing people that, you know, we are not the droids you're seeking, it's one or the other.
well, let's what spells do I have that I can use? I mean, we have a bard. We're fine. This is what our bard's for.
Yes, Belle is quite charming.
Goth Bell. I mean, I don't know. We get accosted. I have hold person. I don't know.
I after you said it, I had to look it up, and
Sure.
Bell.
We got all of them here.
All right. So
By the way, everybody make me a wisdom save.
We don't have to worry about T-Hole because he's fine.
Right, T-Hole's fine.
We all know what's happening now. Well, they know where we are right now.
I'm gonna use an action point on that. I don't know if it matters that I have the proof against detection, but just in case. And worse. Okay. All right.
Fine, because it's Aurelia that's gonna get us spotted.
Watch, it's the vampire tracking us by scent.
It's a wisdom save.
Yeah.
In which case, she was probably like struck and stunned by the smell of lavender at some point.
As long as I mean it's not garlic, so she'll be fine.
But if she's tracking you by scent, then that much lavender, because T-Hole had them like fill the room.
True. We do stick out in an aromatic way. Can you disguise our scent?
No.
Oh, well. We're exposed.
Yeah, only physical appearance.
T-Hole might also be fucking us then. By choosing lavender.
So do we find like does Zarius see a cart or somewhere that has the appropriate incense?
Yeah, so in the marketplace, you can easily find incense that's suitable for the ritual.
Okay. So is there a secret place, a hiding place, or something that I can stealthily create a giant bag of coin?
Sure, you could easily find a place.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna use a 6th level spell slot to cast creation, which I can actually create 10 cubic feet of gold. So
So you can do with that what you want. You can easily find 750 gold pieces worth of incense for sale at the moment.
okay. Yeah, I was thinking like I'd probably cap it at 2,000 because I don't know how much Zarius is looking to get, but I also don't want to carry an obscene amount of coin. Like 2,000 gold is already an obscene amount, but
Well, what's it matter if we get robbed?
well, I'm not worried about being robbed so much as the attention that being robbed with such a large amount of gold brings.
Yeah.
So,
Look through some of my spells here, see if there's any other good whatchafuckets that I could grab.
so Clave in his halfling form, after taking a moment to step away and cast the spell, creating the gold, when he comes back, you guys notice that he seems quite fatigued. Like his eyes look like there are bags under them, and he's just kind of moving very sluggishly.
Couldn't you take like a short rest or something like that? Get some of your spell slots back. Arcane recovery.
Yeah, I could do that when we have a chance to rest, but we need to focus. So Zarius, here's all the coin that you should need to procure what incense is required.
So you get 3 spells worth of incense.
All right. Look it through. Spells.
I
Ooh.
mean, since you have 1,250 coins left over, does Aurelia have any special components she needs?
I don't think so. I don't think I've used any of the stuff I got the last time.
Grab me some of that.
Oh, is that true sight?
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
mean,
that
you could definitely buy those individual components. You're probably not gonna find an ointment for the eyes pre-made. Either that, or you're gonna be the first guy that's the first sale that guy's had in a while.
Well, with Zarius's talent in medicine, couldn't he create the ointment from the
Yeah,
ingredients?
yeah, I assume that's what people generally have to do.
I love that mushroom powder is included in there because it's such a trippy experience seeing truly.
Right. That's how
You
they.
have to even wonder, like, how many ineffective eye compounds did the wizard who invented this spell have to go through?
At one point, he probably just used straight ketamine drops.
Right. He's like, all right, trial 842, pepperoni grease and red pepper flakes rubbed in the eye.
How much diamonds have we got now? I forget.
Probably not gonna find diamonds here though, right?
I have no idea. There's a mountain nearby. I don't know.
Trying to see if any of my spells require any components.
I know we got some
Uh,
diamonds before.
Most of mine don't have a material component, which is nice. Or it's a cheap one like fleece. Or they're just not consumed.
Does Aurelia still have a gem encrusted bowl?
Yeah, I never used it.
I know. Yeah, one of my spells too. But yeah, we could.
Hero's Feast might be good at some point since now we're not going to be able to eat Khepri's food.
I can prepare that spell.
Probably better for Zarius to prepare, create food and water than Hero's Feast today. Although if you can afford it, I just don't know if T-Hole can take it. There's enough jeweled bowls in the city to get you there and back again.
How much is the jewel encrusted bowl need to be worth?
1,000 gold pieces.
Oh, perfect. We have enough to get another one. Can we find one?
Would we? Would there be any desire? Hear me out. To hold down one of these demons for like an hour, so that I can cast planar binding on it.
And what would the planar binding do?
It has to follow my instructions for an hour or for 24 hours. It is mine.
You know, if we could contain a demon, especially a powerful one like the ox-headed one, can you imagine bringing him into the fight against the giant leader,
If I cast it at a higher
the
level,
Shake?
it lasts even longer. At base
What-
level, which is level 5, it lasts 24 hours. At 5th level, or sorry, 6th level, it lasts 30 days. 7th level, 180 days.
I mean, I think that's worth it.
We got to be able to bind him. He can make a save.
Yeah, we can bind him. I'm sure we can bind if we can destroy him, we can bind him.
Casting time is 1 hour. But I also need a jewel worth at least 1,000 gold pieces. I don't know if they have those in the city.
I'm 100% sure you can find a jewel worth 1,000 gold pieces.
Not
Even
within my bag.
even for sale, you could probably find that. And that would be that, and a jewel encrusted bowl would be a little more high end than you would find like in a public market.
Okay.
But I'm sure they're being sold somewhere.
So yeah, I think that gem would probably be pretty cool, because if we can actually do that, I think that's worth it. We'll have our own evil Trebek. An anti-Trebek, if you will.
It doesn't have to be necessarily, but by the way, it doesn't have to be a demon. Any
Right.
celestial, elemental, fey, fiend will do.
Okay. So any outsider, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. If we find one sufficiently powerful.
Nice. All right. Well,
So
yeah.
to find something like that, something that high end, that's probably going to take a couple of hours and require an investigation check.
We don't have a couple hours. I mean, we could find one, find the place, and then come back to it later. But now we've put a lot of fake gold into the market, so they're gonna probably be looking for it.
Should we drive up the market of wheat again?
It's already gone up so much.
That's way up north.
Yes,
We're
but
not even
here,
gonna.
there's so much scarcity here already.
If we could find some wheat and perhaps get some more incense, I could potentially just divine more information.
So you could certainly find more incense in some other market. And you could find wheat. It's just a question of the price. It probably would take you more than the hour you have on the remainder of your coins, though.
And so I don't have it prepared yet, so it would be
Okay,
tomorrow as well.
So, now I'm wishing we scouted all of this out first.
All these good ideas in the wrong order.
Yeah. So then, Glaive is going to be genuinely concerned. He's already done this now with the Adventurers Guild and with the Incense Merchant. And those are both likely socially in the social hierarchy significant enough that is going to draw a lot of attention.
Yeah, you
So-
would gather maybe the Delvers Guild. You don't necessarily know. Their building was a little bit shabby. for them to be like really high status, but they may be nonetheless well known. The incense merchant did appear to be pretty common. Like he's probably not a very highly regarded merchant. And most of what he was selling is in like little increments. It is probably for private ceremonies invoking blessings of the god, not so much for like big important religious ceremonies.
So you're saying that we could push a third try.
There's probably a good chance that like this is an unusual case. So when he goes around telling people that, you know, his money turned into, I guess, what would his money turn into?
Shadow.
So his money disappears and
Dissipates in the
lingers,
sun.
right, lingers momentarily as a shadow of a pile of coins and then vanishes completely. If it weren't for the fact that there may be two stories like this, he might be dismissed as crazy. But it's an unusual story and probably will get around easier than, you know, I've been robbed.
Yeah. I like to imagine it. It's almost like the flash of shadow, like in a after a atom bomb goes off, and then but it lingers there for a moment, and then it just the shadow, you see the shadow kind of break up as like falling apart to dust.
Yeah, that's cool.
All
Best
right,
way to
so
go
then,
unnoticed. Best way to go unnoticed would likely be to keep the numbers different. Number of people who are actively going out and making these purchases.
so Clave would be able to go, and now that he knows what he's looking for, I mean, we can do the scouting now, and then be able to make the arrangements tomorrow, and Clave can do it by himself. Then it's much easier for him to kind of change form and disappear if needed. So, so Kurt, you said a couple of hours in an investigation check.
Yes, to find the gem. Well, it would be different investigation checks to find the gem or a gem encrusted bowl. But it sounded like you were going for the gem.
I mean, if I can make more gold, we can do both. But I do really like the idea of that gem to be able to potentially bind an outsider. What do you guys think? Should we try for a bowl as well?
We have one. Depends on if we wish to try and do that again.
I
What if
mean,
you what if you spend all this time and you find a gem, and like it might be that you'll find a gem in a bowl in like one guy's shop, like one jeweler who's selling these things. But what if you buy it and you take it back and you watch it turn into shadow and then the shadow crumbles? The guy's shop is completely gone, like he just miraged arcaned it into existence in the first place.
Adriano!
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, if we have an infinite money code for the time being, I mean, we know at least one time when we're anticipating when Heroes Feast would be helpful, and that's the day before the battle with the giants is supposed to take place. So that would give us some a little extra in case we knew of another battle that we needed to be prepared for and well fed and well rested.
You would definitely have the sense that so the plan is they're still probably 7 or 8 days out. But the plan is they come to Dharma Shah where you are now and gather the armies basically and then go into the Warmlands. At that point, they float the rumor that the hatchery has been moved and is now in the Oasis of Tefnut. But they don't necessarily know once they've leaked that they don't necessarily know how long it's going to take for the giant to act on it. They may not have advance warning.
Um. So is there a possibility to be able to use any kind of divination magic on the giants? So Clay would be asking this to Zarius.
Depends on which spell I attempt to use. I do not believe I could scry on any of them. I do not know enough about them or their flying castle to be able to do that.
And they did say when you were talking to the Dragonborn ambassador that they have had no luck using divination magic to find them.
Okay. So maybe the jewel encrusted bowl is the lower priority, but I still think it would be good to have a second one just in case, so that we can be a bit freer with how we use the hero's feast.
I mean, if the binding spell fails, then it has failed, and I would have to cast it again.
Okay.
The bowl and the feast will not fail.
Well, is the spell that you would bind the outsider with consumed in the spell?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we look for a couple of gems then. I mean, if we're finding a place that sells high-end gems of that price, I think it's fair to assume that they would likely have multiple ones. At least we'd hope. So, I can make a lot of gold. What do you guys think would be the best way of spending it? Is there anything else we need too, like basic stuff? Like any armaments, armors, weapons, repairs?
I think we're beyond that point. Most of our stuff, most of our belongings is magically maintained. But those ingredients for the ointment.
Okay. How many do you want? How many uses?
A few.
Okay.
So I mean, I will assume you could find as much mushroom powder and saffron as you want. I mean, you've got the gel itself will cost 25 gold pieces. I don't know necessarily how long any fat you buy is going to be good enough to rub in your eye.
It's magic. We'll find. The magic will make it okay. That's the important part.
I can't wait to see how this goes wrong.
Just have to, true sight and then lesser restoration to cure the eye infection you just gave yourself.
It's fine. You could see into the ethereal. Like, who cares if you get pink eye?
I mean, we could, buy like pepperoni or cured like bacon, cook that, render the fat, and use that.
It's collected in a pan.
That'd be one way of keeping it fresher.
I apply the ointment. It's you gotta resist the urge to fucking eat it. Because it's mushrooms and baking grease.
So you buy a little box and a block of ice. And then put the bacon grease in there, then put that in the bag of holding.
Okay, so so it sounds like we'll look for 2 gems, couple of uses of ointment. And then if we can find one, jewel encrusted bowl, right? Anything else that we need? Anything that we can anticipate that T-hole might need or want?
I don't think T-hole needs anything.
I'd
Okay.
mentioned other, if we want to, we don't have to, but other incense and some wheat. I could potentially divine other things if we have questions
Okay,
that we don't know answers to.
so more incense and then some wheat. How much wheat? 25 gold pieces worth?
It does not need to be that much. The incense are the expensive part.
Okay. All right, so who do you want to make these investigation checks?
Who's doing the investigating?
Probably you,
I-
man.
Yeah, I think Clay would probably be taking the lead on it unless Aurelia, you wanted to use your feminine charms to try and suss out some information.
No, you got it.
You're looking for 2 gems then?
2 gems, the ointment, wheat, more incense, and then if we can find a jewel encrusted bowl, but that's less important.
Right, so I'd say on the ointment, you'll definitely be able to find, there is a check, but only to really figure out how long it takes you to find like powdered mushrooms, since that is probably not the primary way people are storing them. But if you just went for dried mushrooms and then powdered them yourself, you could definitely find that even without a check, in
Okay.
any quantity you want.
Okay. Clave would probably be savvy enough to figure that one out and just get the dried mushrooms. Especially since he's proficient in medicine and alchemy. So,
Right, and the same is true of saffron. You'd be able to find it.
okay.
You might have to like walk around to different merchants and different trading squares, but they sell it.
Okay. And in my head, as I'm going through all these places, I'm memorizing the route so that I can be most efficient in cutting through the market to get one after another quickly.
Okay, so
So,
maybe an investigation check for the gems.
okay. Boom.
So you are, yeah, obviously there's not much in the way of jewelers in the lower class parts of the city, but in the upper class parts of the city, there are several jewelers you hear of, all of whom people expect would have gems of the quality you're looking for. Almost all of them are around the royal family's palace.
Okay. So distance wise, how far is that from the other merchants?
So what's the second thing you're looking to buy?
The jewel encrusted bowl. Or
So
oh wait a minute,
maybe,
you mean what is the order that
yeah,
we're
so what's your list again, given that it's not hard to find the ointments?
so wheat, more incense, and then the jewels.
So, okay, we'll just say, we won't worry about the wheat and the stuff that's sort of commonly found.
Okay.
But make me a separate investigation check for the bowl.
Yeah.
The wheat's probably with the mushrooms.
Eh.
I mean, it's probably not, if it's not the same merchant, not that far away.
Right.
So you do have a lead on a jeweled bowl. Although you'll have to visit these shops to make sure it's there, but it's within an hour. I mean,
Okay.
it's actually within 10 minutes because it's in the same section of the city.
Okay. So
As much as I would like to have it be 50 minutes away and then have that second merchant be like, you've got to haggle. And then and then spend 10 minutes in real time haggling.
sweating. It's hot. It's hot out here in the desert, isn't it?
So the first jeweler you visit, he does have two gems available that are of about the right value. Do you know anything about gems? Because I should say he claims he has two gems that are perfect for you.
So I don't have any specific, like I don't have proficiency in jeweler's tools. But I have I have a pretty good insight check that I might be able to figure that out if he's being genuine. Also maybe my proficiency in something else like arcana or history could be relevant.
So make me an insight check.
No, I'm going to action point that. There you go.
My fault.
123.
Yeah, he's the greatest jeweler ever. So you get the sense that he is basically telling you that these gems are the first one is actually 1,500 gold and the second one is 1,200, which should meet your needs, but you're getting the sense that actually both of them are together maybe 2,200 total. So he is upselling his inventory a bit.
Okay.
Both of them probably do meet your needs though.
Okay.
1,000 gold.
All right. So I'll use this information later to play the haggling game when I come in a different body.
And then making your way to the jeweler who sells jeweled. He actually has a variety of jewelry, but he does have one set of jeweled bowls in place. And he says, any of these bowls probably would meet your needs, but I would not want to break up the set. There are 4 of them, of course. Selling 3 bowls would be difficult.
I see. And how much would it be for the set?
That would be 4,500 gold pieces.
Has a steep price there.
No, but look at the quality. And he, he has taken them out from the back from a shelf behind him, and now has them out on a wooden counter in front of you. And they are quite nice, maybe a little gaudy depending on your taste, as they are gold. And then into the gold, there appears to be a layer of glass over top of the gold. And in the gold, there are embedded many gems on the outside. Inside, however, just looks like pure gold.
Okay. So Zarius, if we were to do this, I would need you to accompany me because I would be carrying around 150 pounds of gold. I can't carry that.
Or just have Zarius come in right after you and say, I need 3 jeweled bowls. You buy one. Then have Zarius say, I've changed my mind.
See, to Clave, it's appealing because he's like, well, infinite money, more bowls, all good. But then he's thinking logistics and then
That's not a problem. I will just give you bull strength.
so how long does bull strength last?
So like an hour.
I thought that was like 10 minutes
I thought it was an
for that
hour.
one.
Enhance ability, concentration up to an hour.
Oh, okay. And then that would double my carrying capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's still not enough. I have an 8 strength. You're muted, Gert.
You could always make platinum and save yourself the weight.
Oh yeah, and Clay would definitely have thought of that. Okay, so rather than 7,000 gold pieces, you'd be carrying 700 platinum, which is only, oh, that's only like another 20 pounds. That's well within my weight capacity.
And it saves a lot of time on 1 gold piece, 2 gold pieces. Might not be able to count to 4,500 in an hour.
Okay, perfect. So Clay would say, well, too rich for my blood, but hopefully you find a buyer soon. And then he kind of goes like this and walks away.
So the guy, you hear like a little huff as you walk out, and you puts the bowls back up on his shelf.
So telepathically, Clay would say, all right, we're all set. Anything else we need to do, or can we return to the inn because it's hot and I'm exhausted?
Does anybody have anything else they're doing?
Just looking through my spells again, making sure there's nothing else. I don't think so. I think most of the stuff is covered by a holy symbol. So yeah, I think I'm all right. Hopefully.
Anything you're needing, Aurelia?
No, I think the only 2 spells that I don't have components would be Raise Dead and Resurrection, but Zarius can do that.
Those are the diamonds are for.
Yeah,
We have some diamonds.
right.
Do you have reincarnate? Because I think that's the one we all really want to see.
Yeah, I have that. That's the oils and
That's on the horn.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Because I got that stuff a while ago. I've never used it, so.
All right, let's go back to the inn and get some rest.
So what does, I don't recall, what does your room at the end look like after you've Mirage Arcaned it?
So pretty similar to what we had set up at the previous one, with the tub and the intricacies to lower the temperature, keeping the room contained so that it didn't have any access points in or out. Having the boulders that would go over the doors, unless I willed them out of the way, that kind of thing.
So you get back to the inn, T-hole still soaking in the tub.
Oh yeah, T-hole would have been trapped.
T-hole hasn't noticed that he was trapped though. You know, he briefly gets out of the tub when he hears you come in. Just to peek out and see you. I'm sure he doesn't peek. I'm sure he just walks out.
Yeah.
Totally exposed.
So Glaive is immediately gonna just kind of collapse into one of the beds and just start resting. Trying to refocus his brain after casting so much magic.
So it's still not super late in the day, but Clave at least passes out. What are the rest of you doing?
Looking through my spells at the moment.
Is there a window?
Yes,
the
there are
outs-
windows. Well, I guess ask Clave. There were windows.
Clave would have sealed the windows, because vampire.
Okay,
So unless there was something that you needed, he can easily change it,
no, I was
even just
wondering.
temporarily. Well, I mean, I guess that's a interesting point. Like, when it comes to vampires, is it common knowledge that they have a form that they can take of mist?
I mean, it's common folklore that that's one of the forms they could take.
Okay. That's good enough for me then.
Although there's also the folklore that says they could just move between shadows,
Can't do so much about that.
right? You're like made of shadows, so.
Right. That's like your thing.
Yeah.
He just appears from outside of it, like just shows up. You just burp him.
So does anybody else have to do anything? Or are you just taking the rest of the day off?
Yeah, taking the rest of the day off.
Occasionally wake up Clave so that room service can come in.
Yeah.
That week. Yeah. I wish I don't have much right now that I can prepare for anything. So I was kind of expecting to move. Be a little more active, but that did not happen. So
Okay, so I've just sent a message to Zarius, but let's take a 5-minute break. And I will bang that out.
All right, cool.
finally started watching Sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started it on Saturday. I'm like on early season 5 now.
That show just keeps getting better with time. Like it really does. It is amazing how they managed to the last, I would say, 2 seasons, the seasons weren't as cohesively good necessarily, but they had some
Mm.
gems in them still. Just like, oh,
Yeah, it was one of those things that I knew I would like the show. I just never like sat to watch it.
hmm
And you know, of course, it's a fucking hilarious show.
so good. I'm really glad that you're getting into it now. And another thing that I love about the show is, have you met Cricket yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Uh just the way that the show finds new lows for him to sink to.
Yeah. It's it's been fun seeing who the recurring characters have been.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that I really like about the show is they're so good about continuing to bring those interesting characters into it.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah. Um, there are a couple of really great episodes to look for. Um, have you seen Frank's Little Beauties yet?
No.
Okay. What about uh the one where they're trying to set Frank up with Roxy? You might not be there yet. That's another good one to look out for. And then the one where they talk about the election.
Yeah, I don't think I'm quite at that.
Oh, that
point.
one's like the season 14.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm early season 5. Trying to think of some of the recent ones I've seen. Because I've been like pretty much binging it. So it's difficult to like distinguish.
It's such a bingeable show.
Man, yeah, I think one of the most recent ones is the gang cracks the Liberty Bell.
Yes.
That one was amusing because it was it's just them in the 1700s. Like
And it's all a con just to get historical status.
yeah. Yeah,
The McPoyles. I love the McPoyles.
McPoyles have been quite interesting. Because one of the guys I know I'm familiar with from other shows and whatnot. Boy, it's
Which
the
one? The guy that plays Mac or Dennis or Charlie?
No, for the
Or-
McPoyles.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Smith. Jimmy.
Because the one guy is like in nearly everything I've ever seen him in, it plays like a weird fucking creepy dude.
Oh yeah. He's definitely got a typecast. going.
Yeah. Uh, but not everything though. Like I have seen he was in what you fuck it. Shit, dude. Westworld.
Hmm.
And he wasn't a creepy dude necessarily in that. He was just an awkward dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting for sure. um
I'm just glad that somebody's going to be getting my references now before I bring up Sunny.
I'm getting through it. It's gonna take a while. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Oh, but it's so worth it. Oh, if I could pick a show that I could erase from my memory to watch all over again, that would be up there.
Yeah, it's really good. It is really good. And yeah.
And it's smart too. It's smart in the way that it covers topics that are simultaneously incredibly offensive, but in a way that is also very well thought out,
Mhm.
and somehow yet still sensitive to the topic. That becomes more apparent later in the later seasons, but yeah.
They're yeah. Um, let's see what else was there recently. We had the Dayman play.
Yes.
We did. I finally got to the episode where we see the meme, the conspiracy meme, about
yeah.
the mail.
Pepe Sylvia. It's just Pennsylvania. He was misreading Pennsylvania.
Because he can't fucking read. God damn it, Charlie, your illiteracy fuck us again.
Hmm.
I've seen up to I don't remember exactly where I sort of fell off the wagon and stopped seeing new episodes. I definitely have seen the Dayman show. It's hard to even put it like I'm definitely sure I don't have it in order anymore. Like I can differentiate the very early ones from the later ones because Sweet D is a very different character as the show progresses.
Mhm.
But otherwise it does sort of run together. And of course, like the first season didn't have Danny DeVito.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was strangely clutch for the show. I feel like he brought them together in a way that introducing a new character midway through doesn't tend to do.
Yeah. Well, they tell a story. I forget which talk show they were on, but one of the actors one of the co-creators was on one of the shows, and it's like, yeah, they're talking about bringing Danny DeVito on, and I was like, I don't know, and they were like, well, look, it's either that or we cancel the show, and he's like, oh, well, then we're bringing Danny DeVito on.
Have I shown you the video of them? Like it's between seasons 2 and 3. It's like literally the first thing I ever saw of this show was this clip. And it's like a between the seasons, not even like a like in character thing. It's them as themselves, right? And oh man, I'm just gonna have to find it because they talk about their contract and Danny DeVito's contract.
Whereas the first
And-
thing I ever remember seeing of the show was them disproving evolution.
Yes. And they make a good
I mean,
argument.
they make an argument that they did not answer correctly in the show. I don't think I was not convinced by it.
But if you remember, they're not like, oh, we don't believe in evolution anymore. It's, oh, no, there's a plausible deniability.
That's the clip right there. Fucking 12 years old.
I'm gonna have to watch it afterwards because my audio doesn't work outside of Zoom.
Weird.
Oh, Charlie Day was on Hot Ones?
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They have everybody on that show.
They just had Paul Dano.
I don't know who that is.
He played the Joker in the new Batman movie.
Oh, okay.
The one with Pattinson, Robert Pattinson as Batman.
I haven't seen that one yet. I heard it was good though.
It's pretty good. I sat there and I watched the movie and I'm like, you know what? Batman isn't even like the main character in this movie, it feels like. But it's still pretty good. I did like it. So, but it didn't seem like it was a Batman movie. It was a Batman universe movie.
You know, I think that's okay though. I feel like there are so many stories that focus on those main people, but it's, you know, some of these comics have such rich histories and lore in and of themselves that it's cool to take a side quest every now and then.
Yeah. I mean, and it does a pretty good job. Like it's not about Batman. Like he's still an important part of the story. But honestly, Catwoman is very important too in the whole thing. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's definitely good. And
I haven't
worth
seen the movie in,
worth watching.
Is it on HBO Max?
Yes.
I might have to check it out then.
I haven't seen a movie in theaters in a while. I'm not even sure what the last one I saw was in theaters.
Yeah, it's been a long time. My wife doesn't like going to the theater, so we don't tend to go.
Godzilla versus King Kong. That was the last movie I saw in theater.
In fact, I think the last movie I saw in theater was that last Star Wars movie. So
Actually, and that reminds me, I
Rogue One.
forgot to
Or,
Oh, not
wait,
Rogue
no,
One.
that's-
the Rise of Skywalker.
yeah, that one.
But
that was the last thing.
it does remind me that I forgot to berate you all. I don't know if any of you ever watched Scott Garibay, who's like Nerdarchy adjacent. He's like their crazy friend, but he has like a very small YouTube channel that I watch just because he's I don't know, he's got really wacky opinions, almost all of which are about D&D. But most recently, so there was Questing Beast had like a video that got a little bit of traction because he was basically saying that OSE is way superior to D&D because of the way the DMing works. Like you have to do like no prep whatsoever. You're not he said a regular 5e DM is expected to like tell an epic story and be like the personal life coach to all of his players and also know all of the rules. Whereas with OSE, it's like you could, if you wanted to, just turn up and procedurally generated dungeon with no prep at all, and everybody basically would have just as fun a time. Maybe it would be good to like tailor a couple things here and there, but otherwise it's like zero work. And this was in response to an article saying that people in New York City can't even find DMs. So there's like a DM shortage so nobody can play. And Scott Garibay was saying like that it's absolutely true that it's hard to be a 5 EDM. He took it a different way though, to say that 5 EDMs are the elite compared to the OSE scrubs who are all losers. But then he started saying, he's like, and like the archetype for the 5 EDM is Matt Mercer. And he's like, and look, he does what a DM is supposed to do. He makes epic stories, absolutely. He is the personal like life guru to all of his players. Look at them. 2 of his players got married. All of them are millionaires. He's like, this is what you should be doing, these sorts of things for your players. And I responded saying, I have to admit, none of my players are millionaires yet, but I'm playing in some of their games and I'm not a millionaire yet either. So I'm going to have a talk with Mike on our next session about why he's been letting me down.
Right. Right. He's
I
trying
haven't
to.
even gotten so much as a bit of relationship advice, let alone married, as a result of playing in Mike's game.
In fact, your employer is keeping money from you.
Right. And what is Mike doing about it? Nothing.
Inflicting body horror.
But it reminds me of it because he
Inventing.
also had this glowing review of Avatar 2 and said that all DMs must go and see Avatar 2 because it's that good. It is exactly the experience all DMs should be providing people. So I assume he like earned millions of dollars at the end of seeing that movie. He was they did a live stream once, Nerdarchy did, with a bunch of people who were setting up this a D&D podcast. I don't know whatever came of it, but they were super excited about this podcast they're setting up. And he's down in the chat saying, podcasts are dead. It's a total waste of time and money.
I laughed so hard my contacts started falling out.
He offered them, like, they were trying to start up their own con, and there he was in their chat saying like, no, you're going to go bankrupt. So he is a man of very definite opinions.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know nothing DMs.
Also weirdly, he was saying that like on Dragonlance, like people are complaining that there's only like 25 pages of setting information in the new Dragonlance adventure book, but nobody pays money for setting information anymore. And I left a comment basically agreeing with him, saying like, look, like I know a lot of Dragonlance lore, but if I didn't, I wouldn't be that keen on buying a book of Dragonlance lore, because if I really wanted it, there's a whole Dragonlance wiki that I can go to that has all the old lore. And that might not actually be 100% current as they make changes to things. But if you go by the wiki and don't go by what the newest, latest book says, it doesn't so much matter that your stuff isn't canon. And then he like jumped in to disagree with me, saying it's vital that your canon follow the official canon. And I was like, but you just said not to buy the lore books. What is it? Do I buy the lore book or do I ignore the canon? Because it's not both.
That's really funny because I actually just today got my copy.
Mm-hmm.
Just came out.
Yeah, I don't have that one yet.
Keith Baker's the only author on it, so it's all legit Eberron stuff straight from the creator's head.
So that means Mike will probably only rewrite half of it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know what. There you go. It's like I was sort of saying with Dragonlance. I don't even know, like with Eberron, if there is canon anymore. Like he's come out with a bunch of stuff, and he's got his blog, and there's the official book, But like, Ed Greenwood is all over the place saying like, well, here's how Forgotten Realms work, and he is definitely not canon.
Mhm.
WotC or TSR bought from him, and he is, at best, an informed opinion.
I feel like with the community around Eberron, like because Keith Baker was the way that the setting came about, and because he's been so involved in every single thing that WotC has released, and now using the open license for DM's Guild, he's just been killing it. And there's a lot of people that are like still clamoring for his take on things.
Mhm.
So I think it's pretty cool, the arrangement him and WotC have, where he's kind of independent, but he's still releasing things in a semi-official capacity.
Is that book official? I thought that book was third party.
It it technically is, because it's under the DM's Guild. It's his publishing company, but DM's Guild.
Mhm.
So it's not like official canon, but as close as you can get without it being directly released by Wizards.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to read it at some point. I mean, he definitely has a lot of interesting ideas. So you can always count on him for that.
Mhm.
Like I remember at one point, like briefly when they came out with the Artificer, he was very down on their take on the Artificer. So I don't think he got any input into that.
No.
And then like within a couple days, he was like, well, now that I think about it, I guess I could just reskin it and then I won't hate it as much. He didn't like the whole like gunslinger idea. And then he realized, well, I guess if I think about it like as a wand slinger, then it's not that bad.
Yeah.
The
I don't
artillerist.
I don't like the mechanics of the Artificer. I was really disappointed too. Hence why I remade it.
I mean, I don't think like the biggest disappointment still is WotC decided to come out with Spelljammer and included no ship combat rules.
That
So
was
you
so bizarre.
basically just have to invent those on your own from scratch.
What do you mean? Don't you have something like that in the Salt
Ghost
Marsh?
Saltmarsh.
Right, but it would still have to be adapted. They didn't even bother trying because like there are questions still about like how do gravity planes work? Because there's the old rules, they have their own new sort of somewhat different rules.
Hmm.
And like so there used to be things about how like bigger ships would essentially just get close enough to you that you would enter their gravity envelope and then you would crash into them. So they would hijack your ship by virtue of just being the bigger ship and cause serious damage to your ship in the process. But it's not clear like stuff like that would work under their new system. It just didn't bother. Like it's up to you to figure out how to make it work.
Our ship is an astral dreadnought.
Yeah, that was very strange. I was very disappointed with that, because I really enjoy Spelljammer, and ugh.
Wasn't there ship rules in like Spelljammer, like second edition or whatever?
There are, and like that's sort of the question. Do you adapt those rules to the new rule set or adapt the salt marsh ocean going vessel rules to the new rule set?
All the editions are dead, man. It's one D&D. You didn't watch Garabay's video about how it all works together, and then one player will show up to the table with a character out of the fourth edition, one character will show out of the 3.5, and then you'll play 5e, and it won't matter because you'll know all the editions, and you just play. It's all one D&D, man.
See, I do remember that one, but then there's another one where he was talking about how all the editions are different, and so I'm not sure that he ever really squared the circle on how both opinions are correct.
Well, the one absolute about the different editions is that second edition sucks.
I mean, I don't know. I had fun playing second edition back in the day. Second
I tried
edition,
so hard, but
second
just
edition has like there are like no limits on how breakable the system is. At least if you start allowing all of the little side supplement rule books, there was no attempt to just try to balance those things out.
yeah, it's just such a patchwork of things, and then on top of it, like just Thaco. I still have nightmares of Thaco.
See, I still have like this is what I remember about Thaco. Thaco was the system that they put in place to improve upon the shitty system that they had before Thaco. So I remember Thaco as this huge upgrade where we're like, this simplifies everything. Now we don't need to have the DMG open to those 2 hit tables because we have Thaco. And you know, like first edition, like everything was super underpowered. So there was that. That was like part of the charm in a way. But then you had like rules that I really hated. Like you had to like you almost always had to play a human, or else, you know, if you played long enough, you were going to run against the level limit. And God help you if you were multi-classed and run up against the level limit, because then you're just throwing XP away. And then there are like the weapon speed rules that
Oh my
no
God.
one ever used because they were so complicated.
Like you had 3/4 speed. Like fighters were the only ones that, or like yeah, that was, oh, I remember. So I never actually got to play a full second edition game, but I literally studied the rules for like 2 years because it's all I had. Like I couldn't find anybody to play with, and it was confusing enough that I had to continuously reread them to understand them. And then finally, third edition came out, and it freed me from all of that.
I can only imagine. Mike buys all the third edition books, and then 6 months later, they're like 3.5.
I was so pissed.
First edition also had like rules for completely sensibly, but too complicated to bother with. Rules for different weapons having different bonuses against different kinds of armor types. Because like a sword would do better against leather than against plate. Perfectly sensible. But you also have to stop to look that up every time you swing.
War game
OSC
simulator.
I think OSC has the speed things for weapons. I just ignore that.
Weapon speed was they used that in EverQuest.
I mean, you know, that's another thing that it does sort of make sense. Like a dagger is quicker to stab with than a two-handed sword is to swing with. And then spells took like forever to cast. So you could sometimes do badly enough in initiative that come next round, you were still casting your spell if you followed those
Yeah.
rules, which may be totally sensible. But like as a first level wizard, you only had your one spell prepared for the entire day. And it wasn't a spell slot that you could use on any of the spells you knew. It was your single spell that you had
Correct.
in your spell book.
Yep.
And after that, you were just like throwing darts or daggers because you didn't even have light crossbow proficiency. So anyway, Zarius, did Zarius get the message?
I did. Do I know what this thing is that it talks about? This place?
Probably not. It's not that notable, I guess. You'd have to ask around to figure it out. Although they didn't give you a whole lot of time.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Well, first light for me is like, I'm up.
So what are you doing?
Well, I think we're.
Well, I guess, did you set a watch? The group generally?
Mm. I
Yep,
don't know
yep,
that I would have
T-hole
been
watched the whole
concerned
night.
with a watch.
Yeah, T-Hole took care of that.
Yeah,
I
he'll
feel
just sleep
like
the day.
I feel like Clave would have been like, "Oh, I made this place impenetrable."
Except to a dispel magic. But yeah.
Fair.
He does too good a job. Everybody wakes up asphyxiating.
Right. Yeah. We're sealed in. We consume all the oxygen in the goddamn place.
Theo falls asleep and leaves like the bath running and the place just fills up with water. So I will say, T-Hole has been up all night, unable to sleep for whatever reason. But Zarius wakes up right near dawn. And that's when T-Hole decides that he really needs to hit the hay.
I will wake up Clave.
Huh? Serious. What do you need?
I must find a place.
Oh. Okay. And
I don't imagine you have heard of the Claw of Temask.
is that something that would bring about for Clave?
I guess, are either of you proficient in history?
I am.
So make me a history check. No, you haven't heard of it.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Why? What's so important? Why do we have to be up so early about this?
It was a strange dream.
That causes Clave to kind of shake the sleep from his eyes and sit up a bit. What do you mean a strange dream?
I mean that someone took over my dream and spoke to me.
Okay. I'm familiar with magic that can do that. And what did they say? Did they reveal who they were?
They appeared as a young copper dragonborn, but with wings.
Okay.
They said that they had found what I had lost, and that I should seek them at the Claw of Temask at first light.
What have you lost?
Perhaps it is Khepri. And perhaps the locals might know of this place.
Okay. Let me. And then Clave transforms back into his halfling self. All right, let's go get one of the servants and see if any of them know what the Claw of Temask is. So, Clave will will the boulders over to open the door.
As he's yawning.
Yeah.
And so Iris is like fucking full alert, like like almost as if I've been up for a while, but
Wait a
Anybody
minute.
waking up Aurelia?
Yeah, wait, maybe Aurelia knows where the claw is. Why don't we ask her before we go bother these servants?
And he'll shut the boulder again and shake, gently shake Aurelia.
Yeah, what is it?
Aurelia, somebody's talking to Zarius in his dreams, and they said that he has to go to the Claw of Temask. Or Teask, or
If we're going there to pick up a body that he's got to carry around, I'm pissed.
that's why we got the bag of holding. But
Okay,
do you know what it is?
no.
Okay. Well, thought I'd ask.
Is Aurelia proficient in history?
Nope.
All right. Well, me and Zarius are gonna go bother one of the servants to see if they might know what this place is. You want to come?
Yeah, I don't feel like hanging around T-hole.
Probably a good idea. He seems out, but you never know.
snoring with his dick out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just naked and still wet, spreading you on a bed. I was kind of hoping Aurelia would wake up with a "Bah!" and then just punch you.
Did we get a long rest in?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Must you prepare spells?
Yeah, actually, it's a good idea. Let's switch up here for sending.
So why are we going to this claw thing?
Ask Zarius.
It was in a dream. Someone spoke to me there.
I hope we don't find a bunch of pissed off merchants that their money vanished.
Meanwhile, you see Clave summon a massive shadow that he molds over his body to look like plate mail, and then it disappears. He then also casts seeming on each of you so that you appear as the servants here are going to be expecting.
We're looking like servants now.
No, you're looking like
Oh,
Bell
like
and
okay,
an
okay.
unnamed Dragonborn 3. So now Clave will send back the boulder and open the door. Head out, look for one of the servants.
Wandering out, it only takes about a minute before you come across one of the servants. The inn is starting to be a little more lively, at least with the inn's personnel.
Excuse me. Do you happen to know what the Claw of Temask is?
Yes, it's one of the, well, we call them dragon claws. I don't know what they really are, but it's outside the north wall.
It's outside
Popular.
the wall.
Yeah, it's a popular landmark for people to, meet up at if they're traveling north.
So Clave turns to Zarius and repeats,
It's outside the wall.
But the northern wall.
Sorry, I should be clear. It's outside the walls of the city, not the Great Wall that blocks the border between here and the Warlands.
Wait,
That's where some of
So this is a walled city. There's a defensive wall around it. It's outside of that, like right outside the main gate to the city. But then there's also the Great Wall that's the barrier between this country and the Warmlands.
okay. Okay. So, yeah, Clave is not as concerned now. All right, well, we should probably get moving then. Is there anything that we should prepare? Because this could be a trap. Is it wise for us even to go without knowing what we're getting into?
just be prepared.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Prepared for what? It's easier to prepare for something when you know what it is you're about to face.
It'll be a surprise.
All right, well.
So telepathically, Clave will suggest, why don't we go back to the room? We'll use our transform into the wind. I'll open a window that we can fly out of. That way we're not being noticed.
Very well.
All right, so as we start to transform, Clave would will a window to open that we can fly out of, and then will it closed after we were outside?
Trapping T-hole in once again.
Horizontal.
He was okay with it
Or-
last time.
Protecting T-hole from the assassins that were about
Right.
to attack.
Yep.
Right. All right. We'll head to the north, I guess.
So again, this city itself is built around a series of spires that look like they could have been enormous dragon claws, but some of them are like many hundreds of feet high. So there's no dragon ever known that was ever said to be quite that big. So what they are is a bit of a mystery, but they're also much smaller ones. And it seems as if what she was referring to is one of the smaller ones that for whatever reason was left outside the city walls. As you fly north out through, at least over top of the main gate, you can actually see there are probably 4 or 5 little claw-like structures on the sands below.
Are there any people or any?
There are people moving about. A lot of them are Imperial forces. There are just small contingents of Imperial forces that seem as if they are probably on some sort of patrol. I don't know how high up you are, but at any reasonable height, you can see there's probably a few of them. You can also see there's what appears to be a caravan that is setting off on desert paths to the north, not going by river, but actually crossing overland. They seem to be leaving via the main gate.
So telepathically, Clave is going to say to Zarius, do any of these people seem familiar? Do you have any indication which one we're supposed to go to?
We may have to ask somebody which one is the Claw of Tamask. If there was more than one. You said there was more than one, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
All right, well, we need to find somewhere out of sight from everybody else to return to our normal form. Is there a place relatively close that we could do that?
So if you're not on the main paths, you could probably like hug the wall of the city. And find a nook where that's essentially unobserved. There's not that many people other than the occasional Imperial contingent that's, off the main paths.
Okay. So telepathically, Clave will suggest, Zarius, maybe me and Aurelia should be invisible. That way, if anybody is expecting you and they don't see anybody with you, they may underestimate, and that may give us a jump on the situation.
Can you be invisible?
Come on,
Both
it's
of you.
me. Then telepathically, Clave would turn to Aurelia. Aurelia, can you turn yourself invisible, or do you need me to help you with that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
I'll just start.
So,
I'll find a place and start transforming.
um, once we transform, Clave is gonna cast invisibility on himself. So he appears to be wrapped in shadow and then shimmers and his form disappears.
What does Aurelius look like?
Um,
Are you using your lyre or a spell? Or your cittern? I forget which one you have.
Bandor.
Yep.
If I use the Bandor, that doesn't count as a slot, does it?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I start to play, and then Aurelia just starts to turn all black till she just kind of fades into, it turns into like smoke.
Telepathically, I would say to Zarius, we're here with you. So lead the way.
And Zarius, you probably would notice immediately as you're sort of marching back. Presumably you're looking for someone to point out which is the correct claw.
Mhm.
But as they take just 2 steps forward in the sand, you're like, because invisible or not, they're leaving footprints as they walk.
So, I'll just like look down at your feet. You do with that knowledge what you will. I don't know if that's too subtle for everybody, but
Telepathically, Clay would say, so what? Well, this is at least something. People may be suspicious or curious, but it may still be useful.
So who do you want to approach to ask? I mean, there's people manning the main gate too. They're probably the closest, the guards at the gate. There's this caravan that's just left, and then the various Imperials hanging around.
I'll Yeah, I mean, if there's a person who seems trustworthy enough besides a Imperial, that's who I would go for.
So I don't know that anybody from a distance would necessarily look more trustworthy, but presumably
I know that's fair.
presumably the caravans know where they're going. Like they must know something about the local area.
Right.
Probably the guards too, but approaching the caravans, you can see it's they have a lot of it's mostly pack animals, camels and donkeys that they're taking with them. You would gather from just from the general way everything's being carried. They're probably not carrying anything for sale. They may be off in search of trade goods to buy, but they appear to be traveling relatively light. It's about 24 people traveling with them. And all of them look to be probably members of maybe a single family, maybe two families that just happen to be traveling together.
Um,
And they do watch, like it's pretty obvious that you are like one lone person walking. So they sort of watch you as you come up, curious as to why you're walking alone off the roads.
yeah, I mean,
And you look like a dragonborn, so that's a little unusual in and of itself.
right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the first person I come across that isn't an Imperial, basically, yeah, I'll just
Right.
ask them.
These people don't appear to be Imperials, but you come across a gnome. Hello, Dragonborn. Can I help you?
Which of these is the Claw of Musk?
The Musk. And he sort of turns and points to the far side of the gate from where you transformed and said, if you hug the side of the walls and walk for about 100 yards, it should be essentially straight ahead of you at that point. It's maybe 150 feet away from the walls.
Any other distinguishing features?
It's a little bit bigger than the rest of them around here, so it's probably the largest one in at least a mile or two. You'll see there's a ring of trees around it, but otherwise it's very similar to all of the claws. It's got a little sandstone outcrop that it's rising out of, and it's surrounded by sand and some plants.
Very good. I don't have much of it, but I'm gonna hand him a gold.
Oh, thank you very much.
I just walk off. And that in the direction he said.
Right. So following his directions, it really only takes a couple of minutes before you see that's the only one in the field of view that he mentioned. And his directions were essentially accurate. It's a little bit further out from the wall than he suggested, but you can see there's a ring of like scrub plants and bushes that seems to circle this thing. You're not sure where the water source is for them, but it appears as though there must be some supply of water that's caused this growth. And it does appear as though there's a solid like knot of rock in the middle of it. It's relatively flat with the sand, but it's clearly like a different color and consistency than the sand itself. It rises up probably about 40 feet into the air. And it looks, for all intents and purposes, like the claw of a dragon's been broken off and planted down in the sand. You also see like moving it around in the trees and bushes. There is like one figure. And as the sun rises, you can occasionally see the glint of coppery skin. To the extent copper ever glints, as opposed to just looks brown.
Right. The younger they are, the shinier they are.
Right. Well, her wings in the dream were certainly pretty shiny.
Right. I will walk towards it.
So walking towards the Talon, you do see it is the woman you saw in your dreams. She
The
is standing
wings?
essentially, yes, she has these very bright new penny looking metal wings on her back that appear to be just natural dragon wings, but scaled for a medium-sized person. You've probably seen people with wings before, but it's always some, like magical effect, like it's angel wings that grew on their back after they did something and got some boon, or some sort of like magical illusionary wings that appeared on their back.
Mhm.
These appeared to, as far as you can tell, be biological wings, which again, there are folk tales of, but it's not something you would have ever actually seen. May not be something you would even credit it as real.
Right. Okay. I will approach.
Sultan, it's good to see that you've come. Before I tell you my own troubles, which I think are the troubles of all of our peoples, I suppose I should return to our friend here. And she picks up off the ground what looks like just a large bird cage. It's covered in just a burlap sack. Taking the sack off, you can see Khepri's inside. Khepri appears to be unconscious or possibly just asleep.
I'll reach out tentatively mentally towards Khepri.
Mhm.
Just to see if she responds.
You don't get a response. You think she might be unconscious. I mean, in fact, I'll just say, given your medicine skill, you're 100% sure she's unconscious.
Okay.
She
What
doesn't
happened?
appear to be damaged. Doesn't appear to be injured, but she's unconscious.
Right. Yeah, I'll just ask then what happened to her.
Well, she was quite excitable, and we were aware from reports that you had a companion of our patron traveling with you. It didn't take very long for your name to come out, and I realized that this must be her. She was intent on flying south to see the patron, but to be honest, none who have done that have survived in at least the past year, as far as I know. Even the priests who attended her, I think, are dead, or at least they're missing. So it was necessary to use some magic to put her to sleep, as otherwise I feared she would have flown off to her doom.
She flew off too quick for me to stop her.
Well, as I said, she was very excitable when we met her as well. She was hoping we would go with her, but I don't know that we have the sort of power necessary to confront what's left of our patron. Not if the rumors I've heard are true.
I don't think anybody does.
Well, some of the rumors say that she is not what she used to be in terms of her power, that she's just a puppet of the demons now. In which case, perhaps, but she's still probably more than enough to destroy me.
There may be some truth to that. She did appear to have difficulties stopping me from peering upon her.
Well, you, as Sultan, I'm sure, have much more powerful ways of dealing with anyone than I would. In any event, here is your companion again. She never gave us her name.
This one is Khepri.
And she puts the cage, she just sets it down in front of her on the ground again. I don't know how close you've gotten to her, so she hasn't walked to wherever you are necessarily.
I mean,
But,
within a reasonable distance first, and not have to yell at each other.
Right. In fact, let me just see something.
I would ask how did you come across her?
Well, as I said, she was hoping that being a dragonborn, that we would be willing to travel with her to the south. She apparently has been traveling for quite a while and knows the way to the caves where our patron rests.
Yes, she was one of the ones that lived there and attended to her.
Well, that makes sense. That she would know the way back, but I couldn't seriously take her up on her offer. I did, however, after she mentioned your name, want to see if that was in fact your quest. I'm hoping that it is. Although traveling to the south is certainly perilous, even apart from what you might find with our patron. I fear the demons might get you before you even got close.
We are capable of traveling quickly. It is difficult to catch us whenever we are. But our goals are split among many locations. And I was not certain if I could have any effect upon our patron, even if I were to go there.
I'm not sure this one will accept anything less than traveling there. You may need to be very convincing if that's not your immediate priority. Again, though, I can't verify any of the stories about what happened to her. If you could save the patron, surely that must be your duty as Sultan.
I should not be Sultan.
If not you, then I fear for our people as to who might occupy that station. Most of the nobles who are still alive are alive because they've started cooperating with our current conquerors. I have no
Or-
doubt that they would desire the power. I just doubt that they would wield it wisely.
I had hoped to find someone who would be worthy of leading the people. I am
And
likely to be here for some time. Perhaps I will meet someone.
well, it feels as though my warning then may not be as useful as I thought it might be. But I was just going to say that if you are going south, you need to be especially careful because the demons are looking for some sort of wand, something
Yes.
that can bring back an ancient evil, perhaps even more ancient than the Pasha of Imix or any of the ancient enemies our people fought.
It is an enemy from without.
But I know they are searching for it with great fervor. I think you should, if you go south, avoid them at all costs. Or if
Part-
anything, perhaps you could find this thing that they are searching for and destroy it yourself.
Not likely to be destroyed, but our goal, one of our other goals, is to stop them.
I myself have wondered whether or not it might not be part of the horde of our patron. It is the sort of thing I can imagine a dragon coveting, given its apparent value to the demons, if only to keep it safe. Though, if the rumors are true and she's now a pawn of the demons, I imagine their quest would be over.
Indeed. Unless they do not know that she has it.
And in which,
Or perhaps she does not know she has it.
perhaps that's actually never occurred to me. I assume she knows every piece of her own hoard intimately.
She may know that she has a wand, but this specific one that they seek, it is certainly one that can bring doom.
Well, I have my own business I have to attend to. I'm glad you were able to come so quickly.
What
I
is
would
your
like to-
business?
I am a scout. And I have been in the South and have seen the demons. My next stop is, of course, to go talk to one of our own freedom fighters, who will no doubt pass all of the information I give him on to the Imperial forces, but that is not my decision to make. If they need to know it, they need to know it.
What is your opinion of the Imperials?
I don't trust them, but so far they've not done anything to make me doubt them. I doubt them simply because they're here, and I see no reason for them to have traveled so far simply to help us. I don't view their kind as the sort to just help us out of the kindness of their hearts. Noralim generally needs some specific thing of value to them before they'll lift a finger.
Hmm. Well, recall what the demons are seeking. And
Yes,
consider
that-
again why the Imperials are here.
and that has occurred to me too, although the Imperials aren't as focused on the South as they are on defeating the giants. I'm sure they must know that that's what the demons are seeking in the South. They may have some forces down there I haven't come across, or some greater plan that I haven't yet figured out, but for now, they do seem to be focused on the threat of the giants, and that is mostly north of the river.
Hmm. Have you seen this flying castle?
No, you hear stories about that, but it's never been around when I've seen even fights among the giants, fights of the giants with our forces, but nothing like that.
Hmm.
I don't doubt them. Some people I know who I trust say it exists.
Hmm. Well, I'll just sort of look back at where my companions might be, but like just sort of like
Yeah, she doesn't
obviously
seem
they
to
can't
have,
be seen. Yeah, they can't be seen, but
right. She doesn't seem to have taken notice of them. So you look back, make
was
me a
just
perception check.
okay. And I was gonna say I would just sort of speak into the ether almost. Perception check, you said?
Yep. So you can definitely see where they have stopped a distance back, where their footprints essentially stop. You also notice, however, there's like movement in the foliage around this thing that you would not otherwise have expected.
I'll just sort of how close is this foliage exactly?
Like you basically be right next to it. But
Do
it
you have my-
spreads around the claw itself. So
uh,
you'd be near some of it. Like it's not within 5 feet of you, but probably some of this movement is within 10 feet of you. And then it gets further away from there.
okay. I'll just kind of look in that sort of area and see if I can make anything out from the brush.
I mean, you don't see anything. It's just that occasionally you'll see, like there's a little bit of a breeze this morning, and you'll see branches that to your eye look like they're moving in a way that's contrary to what you would expect. But she picks up the cage and walks in your direction, holding the cage out. I will give this to you then, and I will be on my way. Hopefully I can reach the main camp before at least the high sun. She sets it down in front of you. And she goes to move off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. I'm not like a magical font. I can't just like bless her and she'd be blessed for a while. It'll only be for like a minute. I just be careful.
You as well, Sultan. I hope you are the one who ultimately takes the throne. But that's only based on the nobles I know, which I have to admit, I guess are not that many of them. At the very least, I hope you find one who's worthy of the role.
If I become Sultan, I would have to be then called a liar. I hope not to do that.
Wow, people call you worse already.
I don't care.
So she's
Worse
walking
than
away.
liar? I think not.
Well, you already know that. Like, people think you assassinated all of your family, like 50 members of your family dead
Right.
to get everyone out of the way for you to be next in line.
Reminds
But
me of that one spell from Order of the Stick, Familicide.
Something that might be worth researching.
um,
So
I
she's
guess-
walking off at this point.
I will approach the brush and sort of poke at it.
So make me another perception check. So now that she's gone, you don't really see anything. So maybe she was doing something, you're not sure.
I kind of watch as she walks away. Is the sand move? Was the sand moving in any strange way, or?
So this stuff is sort of like all this foliage is right on the border between where the stone meets the sand. So there's nothing there.
Okay.
What you were seeing, in fact, wasn't even the sand. It was really the branches of these bushes. You don't see
Right.
anything unusual about the sand around her as she walks away, though.
Okay.
So telepathically, Clave is gonna ask, you good, Zarius?
I'll just pick up Khepri. I'll just keep her there for now. No need to try and wake her. And then sort of turn around and we have things we must do.
Yeah, obviously.
We should find a sufficient sacrifice.
Well, yeah, that's been my argument the whole time. So, do you have any better ideas, or are we gonna look into capturing Turbo?
I don't know yet. Perhaps I can use that spell. Maybe we can get a better idea as to what this sage might require of us.
All right, well, then we have some work to do. Let's go shopping.
Was all this telepathic?
Yeah. If it weren't telepathic, it would have been in his halfling voice.
So you're going back to the inn, or where you going now?
Is it too early to go shopping?
No, you could probably find one of the bazaars. It's starting to open.
Am I gonna
Okay.
carry Khepri around or should we?
Right. That's true. Khepri, I'll say she did leave the burlap sack that was covering the cage before. But technically you do have a little dragon in a cage.
It's kind of a thing that sticks out, I guess.
I mean, with
If-
the sack on, people would assume it's like a hawk cage.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have to hoof it then. We're not gonna be able to use our wind walk.
You could. Could turn back.
Well, Khepri being unconscious,
Oh, right, you're right.
Carrying the cage, yeah.
She's still not an object, even
Yeah.
unconscious.
You can move ahead.
I
and
cast
can walk.
objectify.
On sending, you start getting canceled for objectifying.
Um,
So back to the inn, or are you looking to buy stuff now?
well, I think it would probably be good if maybe we split up. Because in order to draw less attention, given all of the money, fake money schemes that we've been running, Clay would still say that it would be good for him to go by himself so that he can continuously change shape as needed and have a quick escape. So actually you guys could head to the inn and Clave could wind walk to the market and start with that process.
Yeah, I mean, well, I can't get into the inn.
So
I can't get into our room.
so as I wind walked, I would fly by and move the boulder. One of the boulders.
Okay.
So as you begin to walk off, everybody make me, Zarius doesn't have to this time, but Clave and Aurelia make me perception checks. So Aurelia and Zarius, as you start to walk off, this time you definitely see sand get kicked up from the edge of one of these bushes. Almost in an identical fashion to the way the two invisible people are kicking up sand when they move through it.
Yep. I don't have the unguent yet, or the ointment for the eyes to go true sight.
You don't need true sight. You could use cast or see invisibility.
I don't think I can get that spell. I don't think that's a cleric spell.
That's too bad.
But you can cast a spell magic.
Yep.
I mean, that said, you were there for a while and they didn't attack, so.
Probably doing the very similar thing that we were doing, so. Appearing to be alone. Real question is, did we think that they noticed you guys?
Probably, but doesn't matter. Seems like it was just kind of a stalemate sort of thing, and they weren't unfriendly, so. But Clave will start focusing on turning into wind, and then move towards the end to unblock one of the doors, and then find somewhere out of the way that I can start on my path, and then also after transforming out of the wind, also being able to cast creation to create the gold or platinum.
Important to get that right, because it's a
Yes.
factor of 10 weight difference. So you do that and create the platinum as Zarius and Aurelia make their way back to the inn.
When do you do this? Because you were carrying around all that gold. Remember, I was gonna do the.
He was gonna make platinum to keep it lighter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
okay,
I don't need it anymore.
Okay.
And let's see. So Clave is going to appear as Tomlin Earthbrow, a dwarf. Plain looking dwarf. Most common looking dwarf you could imagine. That's Tomlin.
Okay. So you're going to get the gems first?
Yeah, whatever path that I worked out to be most efficient to meet the time demands.
Okay, well, that would probably be the bowl first.
Okay.
So you go back into that shop and you can see everything's probably been like packed and unpacked every day. Like he's not just leaving it out for thieves to break in the night. But the bowls are roughly where they were the day before.
Okay. Oi, how much for the bowls?
What sort of bowls are you looking for, sir?
Those bowls right there.
Ah,
He
these
points.
bowls. You have an exquisite eye, as these are perhaps some of the finest things in my shop. To
It's
buy,
for a wedding gift.
well then, you certainly will be quite popular with bride and groom after buying these. They are 6,000 gold. For all four.
6,000.
Of course.
That's quite the price tag. I'm wondering if maybe it is a full set and you know, it would be a shame to break it up because I do have a budget that I need to work with for obvious reasons. I don't have infinite money. So
And
Clay is just laughing in his head at everything that he's saying.
I would hate to break them up myself, as they would be difficult to sell individually. Most people don't need only one of these. They would prefer to have the set, particularly with my clientele.
That's
That's what I would be concerned with too. For the bride and groom, I would want them to have not only a his and a hers, but also for their guests. It would be quite ideal. But if I do have to break them up, I suppose I would. But I think I would be willing to do the whole set for 5,000.
Well, 5,000 is a substantial discount for an item of this quality. So make me a persuasion check.
Okay. I'll also add on. It is a wee bit high, but also, how many customers do you come in here with so much coin that they're willing to sell so quickly? Or coin that they're willing to part with, rather. And persuasion.
Well, I suppose you're right. And it would be good to get, I guess, the first sale of the day done with at this relatively early hour.
In fact, it's really a boon if you think of it. It's good luck for the rest of the sales that you have today to be starting out so strong.
You see, he makes an obvious little hand gesture. Are you trained in religion?
I am.
So make me a religion check. The hand gesture it's related to warding off an evil spirit. But it was almost immediate when you said that this would be good luck.
Oh. I'm sorry. Did I offend in some way?
Notions of luck are very pagan.
Forgive me. I'm up from north. We have some wee bit different customs. I did not mean to offend in any way.
No offense, I blocked the evil.
Oh,
Very well.
excellent.
I will sell you these for 5,000.
Oh, you are doing me a great service. Thank you. Thank you. And then Clave will pull out the platinum pieces from his bag.
And he begins to, as you begin to count out, you can see he's sort of keeping one eye on the count. But he goes down into a wooden chest on the back wall below these shelves on which he has a lot of his wares, and pulls out a smaller box and a series of cloths, begins wrapping the balls and putting them into the box.
Okay. All right, I believe that is 500 platinum. That should cover the cost. Of course, you're welcome to count it yourself.
I did. Here you go. And he pushes
Oh.
the box across to you.
Thank you, sir. Have a great rest of your day.
You as well. And feel free to come again.
Oh, I'm surely will. Take care. Clave will briskly walk out. And then make his way for the place with the 2 gems. I think that you said that was the next closest place.
Yep. So arriving there, you can see it's not the same person who's working here at the moment.
Mhm.
It's a different man, doesn't look actually even vaguely similar. This person is probably about 6'8". He's extremely tall and lanky. And he is moving throughout the shop, setting things up for the day.
You're a large, wiry fellow.
I don't see many dwarves around here. What brings you this far south?
Well, interestingly enough, I have a wedding to shop for, and you're the next stop on my list. I'm hoping to get to some fine gemstones for the bride and groom. Something that would be just capturing the essence of their love.
I'm sure we can accommodate you with that sort of thing. Do you have any preferences? Stone
Uh,
type, color, carat?
So Clave will look around the shop and then have his eyes randomly wave upon the ones that he was looking at yesterday and say, "Oh, these ones actually, uh, those look actually exactly as the ones that I was looking for."
Well, these are quite expensive, but how much of a budget do you have?
Hmm. Well, for these two gems, I'm thinking I'd be comfortable with 1,500 gold pieces.
I couldn't do that. That is less than I believe what we paid to acquire them.
Ah, well then, what is the number that you're thinking?
I believe we can sell them to you for about perhaps 2,500 gold pieces. Few.
Hmm,
I understand that dealing with a dwarf, I'm dealing with an expert. So I suppose we can come down to a reasonable profit for us from there, perhaps 2,200 gold pieces.
hmm, 2,200. That does seem like a bit of a bargain, but I think maybe we could do a bit better. How about 21?
Well, 21 would be approximately their normal worth, but that's also approximately what we paid for them. Um, Perhaps 2,150.
I think we may have a deal.
Very good. Do you need a box for them or have you brought your own?
I would appreciate a box.
So
And
he
then,
walks over, and then from a cabinet pulls out two small boxes, and puts the stones one in each box.
okay. So then, Clave would count out the coinage and uh put it upon the counter.
So will we be seeing more dwarves here?
Oh, probably not. I'm kind of one of a kind.
That's a
But
shame. I've always been fascinated by your culture. We have certain professional overlap, of course. So it would have been nice to deal with more dwarfs. But at least I've had one dwarf customer. That will be
and you
worth
can
a
tell your
story or
friends
two.
about it.
I hope the bride and groom enjoy this very much. Do you need a referral for a jeweler? Will you be having them set into rings or?
No, I will be taking care of that personally, but I appreciate the offer.
Very good.
And then Clave will briskly walk from that shop and then start on the easiest part of the assignment, the wheat, incense, and mushroom paste.
Not so much paste, just dried mushrooms.
Yeah.
And that we don't have to role play. Those are pretty common items. So you're able to pick those up.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what you want to do about the fat. Because you can get that in a lot of different sources and it will all pretty much go bad unless it's being stored properly.
Um, so I would probably just procure the fat anyways, and just have that be Zarius's problem in terms of how it's stored and kept fresh.
Clave hands you a greasy paper bag filled with just rendered fat.
Actually, that is an interesting question because I do have proficiency in alchemist supplies. Is it possible that I might be able to do some kind of or find some uh, substances or alchemical agents that might be able to preserve the fat?
It's possible. I mean, you'd probably want to get then a little more fat than you need so that you can test it and see how it works. But I'm not, you don't have to worry about the cost of a little extra fat, as a lot of people probably would be throwing it away at some point anyway.
Okay, perfect. All right, so once I got all of that, Clave would then try to, as he got closer to the inn, he would look for a place that he could hide in to change his form to the his halfling alias Giddywinks, and then enter the inn.
So you transform and get back to the inn as a halfling again. In fact, actually, while it's on my mind, make me an alchemy tools check with intelligence,
Okay.
just to see if you already know a way to preserve fat. So I'd say yes, you know a way that you can keep it, not forever, but for a few weeks.
Okay. Cool. So I'd walk into the room, and the minute that I walked in, I'd close the boulder and say, well, I've got everything that we are looking for. We're definitely gonna have to be careful now. Need to change our aliases, so it's a good thing that this is the last day we're here in this particular inn. So yeah, but I got everything. Zarius, the fat needs to be addressed so that it will be preserved, but I got what I need to do that. So you should be all good with all of your spell ingredients.
So meanwhile, while he was out shopping, I assume you guys just went back to the hotel, or is there anything else you wanted to do?
Can't hear you.
I would just tend to Khepri.
Okay, so probably it takes you about a little more than an hour to get back from outside the walls back to the hotel on foot. Shortly after you get back to the hotel, you can hear Khepri stirring in her cage. And then you begin to hear under the little sack, the little bar is shaking.
I'll just tell her to hold for a moment. Let us get back to the room,
Chill your tits, bitch.
and then we can talk.
Meanwhile, she's like, freedom. So you go back to the room. Actually, you were back to the room before she woke up, technically. So
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would just be kind of taking care of her as best as I can until she begins to wake.
yeah, so as soon as you hear her moving about and rattling the cages, take the sack off of the cage. She starts blinking up at you as the light hits her eyes, and she says, "How did I get back here? Have you changed your mind? Are we going to go save the goddess now?"
We will be doing that as soon as we can. But we are not fully prepared. If we go ill prepared, we will all die. Yes.
I suppose. But if we only take a day or two, I guess that's okay.
We will do what we have to.
How did I get back here?
You fell asleep.
I don't remember that.
You were quite stressed.
I remember I saw some dragonborn, and I went to talk to them. And then one of them had a cage, and then they were chasing me. Now I'm here. She narrows her eyes as she thinks back on this, putting the pieces together, still groggy from the experience.
Yes.
I don't exactly remember. Maybe they were chasing me first. Definitely trying to get me in a cage, though. Why am I in this cage?
No, I would take her out. Like if I could have taken her out before she started like rattling and whatever, then I would do so.
So she perches back up on your shoulder. You still occasionally hear her muttering to herself a bit as she's trying to reconstruct the full memory of what happened, but she calms down after a bit.
Okay, good.
So that's where we can end it for this week. So in 2 weeks, it's going to be like the day before New Year's Eve, and I'm not going to be home. I'm going to be at my sister's house, so probably can't play that week. Maybe like things are up in the air a little bit, but I don't know what other people's schedules look like. But I think it'll be the 4 weeks from today will be the next session.
My
Our-
next Sunday game is on fucking Christmas, so obviously that's not gonna happen.
Are people available to play Tuesday in Descent into Vernia?
Yeah, I
Or
will be.
people needing to take that time off?
I'll be around for that.
I will be off work pretty much every day that week except for Monday. So
All right, so then we'll plan on playing on Tuesday.
All right. Talk to
Yeah,
you later.
good. Yeah.
All right,
All
later,
right,
everyone.
take it easy.
Night, everyone.